The land upon which we stand and upon which the SADC Liberation Square will be built is part of a 101-hectare donation by the government of Zimbabwe to the Institute of African Knowledge, INSTAC, for purposes of development of the Museum of African Liberation and the broader Liberation City. Your Majesty, Your Excellencies, and distinguished guests, this donation signifies just one of the many ways in which His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairperson of SADC, Comrade Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, has shown unwavering commitment.
The President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and SADC Chairman, His Excellency Comrade Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, at this historical and momentous groundbreaking ceremony of the SADC Liberation Square. This day marks a significant milestone in the history of our region as we congregate here to memorialize our liberation struggle history. As we do so, we should remain mindful and pay special gratitude to those who came before us and made great sacrifices to liberate us from the colonial rule. Your Majesty, Excellencies, and esteemed guests, allow me at this juncture to invite our guest of honor, His Excellency Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Chairperson of SADC. Your Excellency.
SADC Council of Ministers, Honorable Ambassador Shava, Minister of International Relations South Africa, Honorable Lamola, Honorable Ministers and political leaders from the Republic of Zimbabwe who are here, Your Excellency SADC Executive Secretary, Mr. Magosi, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, my salutation does not capture my colleagues who are here. My dear brothers, I will fire those who wrote this. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I warmly welcome you all to this continental project, the Museum of African Liberation, aptly branded the Liberation City. Zimbabwe remains inspired by our collective national history and the spirit of Pan-Africanism vision, hence our desire to host part of the repository of the history of the continent for the benefit of present and future generations. It is therefore befitting that I acknowledge the support of SADC member states and that of our other countries in Africa that enabled the official African unity endorsement of the establishment of the Museum of African Liberation. This project is being spearheaded by the Institute of African Knowledge. My government will continue to deploy resources and expertise towards the institutionalization of African narratives and perspectives of the decolonization of our continent. We are aware that the history of our continent has been and continues to be deliberately distorted to suit the parochial interests of our former erstwhile colonial masters. It is the responsibility of our generation to ensure that this important phase in the history of our continent is accurately documented and secured. It is time that we set the record straight. Otherwise, history will judge our generation harshly for having watched with disinterest while our history is being falsified. Your Majesty, Excellencies, and distinguished guests, this museum is an affirmation of the liberation struggles of the African continent. It should ultimately be the custodian and embodiment of all that which characterized the decolonization of our respective countries, our region, and the entire African continent, including the African diaspora. It immortalizes our rich African heritage, given its central role as a reservoir of the events and activities that characterized our struggle against foreign domination and exploitation. It should also be a source of pride and inspiration for future generations to jealously defend, guard against the encroaching wave of neo-colonialism. Exhibitions that showcase the historic struggles of the African people and the victories registered against oppression and injustice will form the core of this museum. The facility will thus help to amplify the heroic exploits of the African people, to restore the dignity of the African people, and to celebrate our Africanness. My government has therefore resolved to avail a hectare of land to SADC, where each member state will be able to construct a monument of our struggle against colonialism. Our protracted armed liberation struggles remain invaluable and imprinted in our psyche at national and regional levels. This can never be erased by those who dehumanized and commodified us. Through timeless projects such as this one, we shall jubilantly celebrate the history, victories we scored as a result of our unity and solidarity for posterity. Your Excellencies, in the case of the liberation of Zimbabwe, special tribute is paid to the then frontline states for the selfless political and economic sacrifices which they made for us. Our struggle for freedom and independence would not have been as successful without the support and solidarity of you all, along with other members of the progressive world, such as the People's Republic of China and Russia Federation, the then USSR. We are forever indebted to you all and shall never forget that history. Your Excellencies, Your Majesty, distinguished guests, we are implementing this project being fully aware and supportive of other projects of museums within our region. The SADC Museum in Gaborone, Botswana, and the Liberation Museum, to soon take off in the United Republic of Tanzania, will also contribute to our Pan-Africanist agenda through bold inscriptions and artifacts on the struggles of our liberation. SADC can count on Zimbabwe with regards to the success of those two projects. It is my singular honor and privilege to now officially hand over the piece of land measuring 1 hectare of the SADC Liberation Square to the chairperson of the organ of Troika and the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Hassan. May I highlight that this site also overlooks our country's sacred national heroes' acre, where the founding fathers and the gallant luminaries of Zimbabwe are interred. May I now invite Your Excellency, the Executive Secretary of our SADC, Mr. Magosi, to officially perform the groundbreaking of the SADC Liberation Square. God bless you all. God bless SADC. God bless Africa. Thank you.
Tree, I'll give you the citation for the species of tree that is being planted today. It's a tree that is indigenous to Zimbabwe. In Shona, we call it Muranga. And some people say it's short for Muranga Zese, meaning it is a multi-purpose tree. But Muranga means that it's a solution to every problem. So our local communities here in Zimbabwe have used it for ages. This is the tree, its botanical name is Wabogia salutaris. It's also known in English as the paperback tree. This is the 44th tree that is being planted here to mark this indigenous to our SADC region. So we are saying as we move forward with this project, we want to document as much as possible our local trees, especially from within the region. So we also develop the history of our forest conservation efforts as a region. Muranga tree, Wabogia salutaris, that's the tree that's planted today. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, our Executive Secretary, Your Majesty, Your Excellencies. We can now take questions. Arrest. I think I have another second candidate.
Your Majesty, King Solomon III, Your Excellency, Ambassador Mnangagwa, President of the Republic, and the Chairperson of SADC, Your Excellencies, Heads of the State and Government, and all the other dignitaries, just to save time, all protocol observed. I'm reading her speech. It is indeed a distinct honor to stand before you today on the occasion of the groundbreaking ceremony of the Southern African Development Community Liberation Square. On behalf of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security Cooperation, and indeed on my own behalf, may I extend my heartfelt gratitude to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emerson Mnangagwa, the government of Zimbabwe, and the Institute of the African Knowledge for spearheading this monumental initiative. Indeed, today's groundbreaking ceremony of the Southern African European Community Liberation Square is a culmination of several processes and efforts over an extended period of time. These include the unveiling of the Hashim Bita Research Project, which is a 9-volume publication documenting the history of the liberation struggle in Southern Africa, here in Zimbabwe, at the 2014 Ordinary Summit of Heads of State and Government. Further to this, our regional bloc has sought to immortalize its rich liberation legacy through the museum to honor our founding leaders, as witnessed at the 2022 Ordinary SADC Summit Head of State and Government. It is inasmuch as we have gone some way in honoring specific individuals who contributed to the freedom and democratization of Southern Africa, more can still be done to publicly recognize the ethos of unity that symbolizes our shared history and our common future. This is why the SADC Liberation Square is a most welcome development, in addition to memorializing our heritage as Southern Africa. Indeed, no single African country can claim to have attained liberation on its own. No individual state can say it defeated the oppressor single-handedly. We thrived as a collective. We were in the trenches together. Excellencies, Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, SADC Liberation Square, which will be housed within the precinct of the Museum of African Liberation, serves to preserve and promote this unity for posterity. As we are all aware, Southern Africa is the home of the struggle for African independence and self-determination. 5 of the 16 member states had to fight protracted wars of liberation. In those trenches, our sons and daughters who took up arms counted on political, diplomatic, technical, material, and moral support of the entire region. Hence, the Museum of African Liberation has dedicated space to celebrate the contributions of all nations that supported liberation struggles on our continent. In addition to allocating space to every country that fought for its independence and to every country that provided any form of support to this cause, the special piece of land we stand on today has been set aside for the SADC as a block. Excellencies, Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, the SADC Liberation Square will be a timeless reminder of the unity and courage that characterized our quest for freedom. This groundbreaking ceremony for our SADC Liberation Square signifies our eternal oneness, where before we took up arms to liberate ourselves from colonial oppression, today we come together in remembrance of that gallant effort as we now take up arms against contemporary enemies. Underdevelopment and its attendant ills of poverty, hunger, low access to quality education and health care, among others, demand a combined action to overcome. As the frontline states led the charge against colonialism and apartheid, SADC today should be in the forefront, in the front line in the war against underdevelopment. The SADC Liberation Square should serve as a constant reminder that we have previously overcome obstacles that some thought to be insurmountable. It should serve as a source of inspiration and as an ever-present and tangible aid memorial that there are no odds we cannot beat should we set our minds to it and work together as one people with a shared history of struggle and a common future of prosperity. Your Majesty, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me once again express our gratitude to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Mnangagwa, INSTAC, all SADC and non-SADC states, the Secretariat, and the various institutions, organizations, and individuals who have brought the SADC Liberation Square to life. I thank you, merci beaucoup, muito obrigado, asante sana, tatenda, yalema.